Hello, shalom, my friends, shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And oh, am I delighted to see these two wonderful, talented people. Dave, who is the host and producer of this program, he used to see them so many times for years downtown at the Bowery Lane Theater. I don't know why they spelled it like that, but it was on the Bowery, but it was the Bowery Lane Theater that they called the Cocteau Rep. And they used to do all these different classic shows with sort of a rotating repertory of people. They are still here. They're still themselves. They haven't repertoried into somebody else. But they now own and operate a theater company called the Phoenix Ensemble. We're going to hear all about that and a festival that they're in the middle of right this second up in Nyack, New York. So won't you please welcome to the neighborhood Elise Stone. She's the one on my left at the moment. And then her husband, CRAIG SMITH. Shalom to you both.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So good to see you. So how is, I still think of you as Cocteau Rep people, but Phoenix has been around for like 20, 25 years, yes?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
We still get people who come up that know us from the Cocteau. We had somebody come in last night and seeing the festival show, and they say, "Oh my God, we saw you in all the shows at the Cocteau, and the one with Jack the Ripper, Lulu." They talked about Lulu again. So they follow us. It's been great. That kind of legacy that goes on for years, and theater goers are theater goers.
Well, can I ask you, how much do you get to do still in Manhattan? Because this festival is up in Nyack, and you also have seminars and getaways and retreats up there. Are you still related at all to New York, New
Oh,
York?
we are. Yeah, we are. And we actually have synergy between the festival, which is only 24 miles from New York City. So it's not very far. Nyack is not very far. You basically get on a train at Grand Central and you go to Tarrytown and then you cross the bridge. So
All
it's
right.
it's very it's a
It's a
very
schlep, but it's not a bad schlep. Yeah.
yeah.
That's the answer we get. We say you got to come up to Nyack. It's 24 miles. You want me to schlep
Yeah.
to Nyack? I say, yeah,
It's
yeah,
about
we
45
do.
minutes. It's about 45 minutes
It's a
from
great trip.
Midtown. But yeah, we have a lot of synergy between what we do in the festival and then what we do in New York City. So sometimes we'll produce shows, we start them up here, and then we move them off Broadway to the city. So we are still very active. We still produce a season in the city. I hope to be able to announce one relatively soon. I've been so busy with the festival that that announcement often comes late. But yeah, we have a foot in both up the Hudson River and in New York City still.
Yes. I have testicles like that. They're pointing so far away from each other. You don't want to know. But how is the fact? Because when we think of you guys from back in the day, it was all classic theater. It was Ibsen and Chekhov and Pirandello, and there's a festival is not like that. How much of what you do is still classics versus new stuff and modern classics?
Well, Phoenix Theater Ensemble, most of the things that we do are still very related to classics or retelling of classics, new adaptations, that kind of thing. For the festival, we really curate many, many different artists because the whole idea behind the festival is theater, dance, music, and more. So we really want to offer a great variety of things during this beautiful autumn leaf peeping season on the lower Hudson in a beautiful village with shopping and restaurants and lovely bars and jazz clubs. And so we tried to curate a wide variety. We did a co-production of The Crucible as a public works performance with a company called Firebird because our company skews a little bit older, theirs skews a little bit younger, but we are both very text-based and
Can
classical.
not to interrupt, but can I ask, because not everybody who watches this show is a big theater geek, what is a public works performance?
Well, it's really after what the public theater does when they bring together community members and integrate them somehow into a piece of work that they are doing. And I think they started it, and then all over the country, everybody went, oh, we could integrate people. So in this case, we used a lot of community members as the townspeople of Salem in the Crucible, and there was a lot of hymn singing, and we used a lot of some of the young girls in
Young
the
girls flying
community
around and screaming and wonderful.
accusing people of
It was
being
an
witches. It was
amazing
amazing.
event, amazing, sold out, and it's just like it was really incredible. And it has such a political message that is so important for us right now to hear that, and the audience picked up on that right away. They knew what we were talking about. Nyack is a bastion of liberalness in the lower Hudson Valley, so they have embraced us, embraced our politics as well.
Yeah. So we did, we did something classical like that, but we also we curate a lot of wonderful theater companies from the city who folks might not necessarily be going to see, And so, for instance, we have a musical in development that's done by Sarah Farrington, who is an author and a playwright.
She was on this program like a month or two ago. Yeah.
She's absolutely amazing. So she is developing a musical that is based on the documentary about the making of the Brando and Val Kilmer, the Island of Dr. Moreau. And I don't know if you saw the movie, you know how bad it was. If you saw the documentary about making the movie, you had no idea what was really going on that set until you watched the documentary. And she got the rights from the filmmaker of the documentary and the film company. And she has actually developed this play, which is absolutely hysterical. And we expect we'll, move to Broadway at some point about the making of that movie. Based on the documentary, so that is so it is a very diverse variety of works that we bring up because we want people to have as much opportunity to see as many different kinds of things in theater and dance and physical theater as possible.
Now we shouldn't make a delineation here that. Oh, I'm sorry, but yeah.
We also had, along with that, we had Joe Medeiros doing the Odyssey, book number 2 of Homer's The Odyssey in ancient Greek. He did it in ancient Greek language at the Library of Nyack. Just shows it was an amazing performance. It was just incredible. And you understood the story. It was wonderful. And that shows the kind of diversity and the kind of stuff that we're trying to do.
Yeah, Joseph is working his way through all of the books. It'll eventually be a 24-hour kind of cycle. Joseph is a legend. He's a Broadway Legend Robe winner. He's an amazing performer, and it was really a stunning experience. It was a stunning experience. Yeah.
Now, one of the things that we do want to mention is we're talking to Elise Stone and CRAIG Smith. Elise is the artistic director of the Phoenix Theater Ensemble. CRAIG, you're more of the producing director. What's your thing now?
I'm the managing director of Phoenix Theater Ensemble, and I do that. But for the festival, I'm the executive director of that. The festival takes a tremendous amount of time and energy. This is our 4th year we're doing it, so we've been doing it for 4 years, and it's we're finishing right now, but we're going to have to start developing next year's festival. It takes 18 to 24 months to put all this together.
Yeah, and we are not finished. We're not finished. We're not even halfway through.
No, that's
we're not even finished with the first week yet. So we still have a whole other.
But let me ask in terms of the duties. So as artistic director, is your work purely creative, like selecting the shows and curating things like that, and his is more money organization, phone calls, begging for
marketing?
Grants, or what? Yeah.
CRAIG takes care of more fundraising, marketing, and things like that. I'm definitely more responsible for the artistic curation decisions and things like that. But being a small organization, we do everything. So
Wow.
we just do everything. Nonprofit arts organizations, everybody wears whatever hat is needed at any given time. So,
I use the phrase, these are astonishing times that we're going through right now. It's just the political situation and the social situation, but also the demise of the National Endowment for the Arts, basically the demise of the National Endowment of the Humanities, and the uncertainty of the stock market has also, impacted foundations and corporations and individuals individual giving as well. So things are tough. Things were tough before, but now they're really tough. So we took another look at it and say, what can we do? How can we do this locally? So we started working with small business organizations and nonprofits and offering them a very affordable sponsorship and marketing package for the festival. And we have 50 new sponsors this year, and trying to replace some of that money that is gone, unless you're going to do a military flyover or or something like that. You might get some funding from National Endowment of the Arts, and that's not really in our wheelhouse, so we're not going to be doing that. And that's been encouraging. That's very encouraging that we might find a way to try to replace some of this money.
I firmly believe that it's going to take a community working together, because it isn't just the arts that's hurting. Businesses are hurting too. Small businesses are hurting. So, finding a way that nonprofits can work together and cooperate along with small businesses and community members is really I think it's how we all rescue us in the current moment. I think it really comes down to just creating community, that we are all taking care of each other. If we all take care of each other, that that we will have greater resilience, and everyone will be better off.
Now let me ask about some previous moments of it, rolling all the years back. How did you meet? Did you meet as actors at Cocteau, or did you know each other before, or how did you guys get together professionally and personally?
Okay, I'll tell you that story. We're at the Cocteau, and I don't know what year it was. It was a long time ago.
85, 84.
Eve Adamson was the director at the time, and she would ask me to sit in on auditions with her. If there was somebody up there who was doing the audition and I thought was interesting, I would hold up a finger, a two, and it would mean I would like to see a second piece. Well, in walked Elise Stone, and before she even opened up her mouth, I put, let's see a second one.
I don't think that's true.
This beautiful woman walked in, and then we met, and we got married some years later. We got married at the theater on a Monday night, and there was a mention of it in the New York Times. So we had a very, very, very full
standing room only, because every time Craig would walk down the street, he'd run into somebody who'd go, "Hey, here are you getting married? Can I come to the wedding?" So
it was actually
standing
it
room
was
only.
a very Pirandello kind of experience, because we had a stage manager, we had a lighting designer, we had a sound.
It was a meta wedding, actually. Yeah,
And that's right. So
Yeah,
it was like,
because we made the wedding ourselves. What money did we have? So we made the wedding ourselves.
and there was a rabbi there who was quite confused by all of it. And I said, "Okay, Rabbi, it's 15 minutes to places."
Wait, who is it? Is either of you a Yiddle? Yeah, neither of you is.
I am. Yeah.
Oh, are you really? Were you how conservative?
My mom is. No, nothing at all. No, because I'm part of Romani, and so I'm a very I grew up very. My mother later became an interfaith minister, so every single world religion she studied, including indigenous traditions. So no, we were spiritual, but not religious. Let's put it that way.
And what about you? What was your Craig? Your raising up?
I was a Methodist in a very small town in northern Minnesota. We live in a community right now which is heavily Orthodox and part Hasidim, and we were there, and there was one time Levi, who we've gotten to know, and his lovely family. This is just a story that came in that shows my ignorance of it. I was walking my dog, and Levi stopped by, and he said, "My smoke alarm is going off." And I went, "Oh. Well, I think all you have to do is remove the battery for it." And he said, "No, my smoke alarm is going off." And I thought, "Oh, well, we could call the fire department." He said, "My smoke alarm." And I said, "Well, Levi, maybe I could come and help you take." And he went, "Oh, that's good." And I didn't know. I mean, he was an Orthodox, and it was a holiday or whatever it was, and he couldn't ask for that kind of help. So we're learning.
Craig Smith, both managing director and Shabbos Goy.
There you go.
It's a wonderful thing right there.
Exactly, Mark.
And you guys, I mean, I don't know how you make a living to support 3 children that you adopted. Mazel McGlick, you have a whole family and kids. How did you? I mean, Craig, you worked in publishing, but how the hell, how do you manage even now?
We don't know. We just do. Both of us have always just, we're very industrious people and we don't sleep. That's
I spent my
highly overrated
my
sleeping.
entire artistic life. I was always working 2 jobs with that, as long as doing that. So I was very used to it, even in the years of the Cocteau and all that kind of stuff. And then I literally just retired, and now I'm only only doing 2 jobs, which is the Phoenix Theater Ensemble. But it's tough. It's hard. There's this thing about every artist says. Every generation is a sorry generation for an artist, but mine is the sorriest of them all. That's how I feel many times.
Well, let's talk a happy thing then. What are your most favorite roles and memories of doing back in the Cocteau, and then we'll get to Phoenix? Like plays that you love doing or love putting on, what?
You go there?
No, you go.
Okay.
What's up with you?
Well, I love Pinter, and we did The Caretaker. I got to play Davies twice, and I loved that role. I just settled into it right away, and I liked it very. And I actually got to meet Harold Pinter, and that was cool. And got to do it again. And that's a. He takes tremendous discipline to do Pinter and to trust that language and all of that, and I found that very invigorating. So that was a very telling performance for me.
And you were able to deal with all the pauses that he would put in the comedy, right?
Well, it's very good when you're doing Pinter, because if you're searching for your line, people just think it's a pause.
Now, what about you, Elise?
Never thought of that before.
What about you? Yeah.
I just was extremely, I feel extremely blessed for my decades at the Cocteau, because most American actors do not have the opportunity to work 11 months out of the year in rotating repertory, doing 6 and more plays, and I was incredibly blessed. I was entrusted with so many amazing roles. I mean, I think there were a lot of people who looked at me at some point and went, "Is there anything left for you? Like, is there anything left to play Mother Courage? Medea, Lulu." Mary Stuart.
Actually, let me stop you right there, because that begs the question: did Cocteau ever get to the point that we've seen now, where you could have played Lear, or you could have played, I mean, Lear's moving a little old for you, but Hamlet, or Queen somebody? You know what I'm saying? Like they could have gender swapped.
It probably could or would have. The thing about the Cocteau is always. Certainly under Eve Adamson, and I think under Bob Hupp as well, was really about allowing artistic growth for the resident company. And I think in my first 2 years, I played everything from a 16-year-old to a 90-year-old, and that just affords actors with such amazing growth opportunity that we don't usually get. And Phoenix functions very much the same way, because Eve Adamson was my artistic mother in that way. That was my home play. So I grew up believing that the best way to allow actors to do what they do is actually to allow them to act, as opposed to saying you can only play this because you look this way. I don't go for the typecasting thing, and to this day, I have actors who will say to me, "I never thought I would get to play that role," and that's exactly. They should play that role. They should not be excluded from that role because it isn't traditionally played by somebody who looks like them. So
I can't tell you how many times I've auditioned for Gidget when they're rebooting the Gidget movies. Goes Hawaiian. I bought a lei. Nothing.
And they
Never like a
don't.
call.
What is
Oh,
wrong with
they're
them?
missing
See,
out.
they
Oh my
are.
God.
They
I
are.
agree. Now, Craig, I did read an interview with you somewhere where your first um, approach to the Cocteau rep was it was almost not an accident that you were sort of drawn there. You went to see Waiting for Godot. I mean, years and years and years and years and years ago, and it wasn't like, oh, you're an actor. Well, what happened? What did you do? You saw a show
Well,
and
my first audition for it, I was at it was my birthday. Yeah, it was 1974, I think, and a long time ago. And I was with friends. We were at Jimmy Ray's and we were having drinks. And I had a late audition. And I said, oh, I'm going down to the murder district. I've got this audition tonight. And so I went down there and I auditioned for them. And I liked them and they liked me. I wasn't right for the role they were looking for at that time. But I went back and to see something, and I grew up in northern Minnesota, you know, I had apprenticed at the Guthrie, but you know, my breadth of exposure to dramatic literature was very limited, and they were doing Waiting for Godot in this small storefront theater at 43 Bond Street, which sat 50 people. And it was a rainy night. It was like a Friday night at 10 o'clock. I went to see this show, and I had never seen anything like it. Beckett was a total revelation for me. And I said, oh, this is the kind of thing that I would like to do. And so I went back to them. I spoke to even people, and I said, you know, I'd just like to volunteer and help. And I literally swept floors and that kind of thing. And then out of that, there was growth. We did classes at the time. We did classes in stage fighting, classes in dance, classes in voice. I mean, the entire discipline that went with it. And that ended up being my life. And my life has always been in nonprofit theater.
now speaking of classes, one of the things that you guys do at Phoenix is you have these retreats and getaways and things like that. What is being offered in 25, 26?
Well, I don't have my lineup again because I'm terribly behind. But we do. We have a wonderful retreat that has. We've got a studio, and then we have a lot of beautiful surround around us, and we do a day-long intensive. People come up from the city, and they get to spend the day just being an artist. That's all they have to think about. We take care of everything
There's a
else for
swimming
them.
pool and a
So,
cabana as well. So,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
If there's a pool, who needs art?
Nobody's swimming in the winter time.
we didn't
They
do
just
that
close
on the
that.
in the East Village. So it's been really nice.
Yeah.
You can do.
So, are there any either directing or acting? Are there any still shining dream on the hill that you guys hope to do in the next 10 years or so, within the next 10 years or so, of like, oh, I always wanted to, and I'll get my chance, or let me direct Waiting for Godot again, so I can do it again, or something like that. Either.
You know, for me, I'm always interested in new work that is adaptations of it. It still needs to fit into our mission. Our mission is strongly on rich language based. And I think in these AI days that this is of extreme importance to us that we maintain that. So we're looking at new stuff, and we're looking at a new adaptation of the Dario Fo.
Artist,
So
the
that,
accidental death of an
that's
agritist.
there's
Yeah.
a new adaptation of it, and it's oh my God, it's amazing. I gotta know if we can get the rights for it or not, but that's something that we would like to do, and it has again the right kind of language and political message that's so important to us right now. You know, we did
The Irresistible Rise of Arturo
we
Ui.
did it in 2016, right during the election time. And the last line of that show, which is a cautionary tale about fascism, is he says, "The bitch is in heat again." Lights out. That's it. And it was stunning to do that. And then we woke up the next morning, Wednesday, and had won over Clinton. And then we had to do the show again, you know, during that time. So, you know, as artists, we try to do what we can and say what we can and encourage conversation. about it. And those are the things that we do. We did Larry Park's Day in Court, which is based on the House Un-American Activities Committee, Larry Park's first day of testimony, and it was a riveting performance, and it is unfortunately so incredibly relevant right
And just to
now.
be clear, we didn't do that. That was actually done by Hamilton Clancy of the drilling company. So.
So, oh yeah, and again, you're talking about things that are in the festival. It is called what is it? It's the Phoenix Festival being done by
It's the
the Phoenix
Phoenix,
Theater Ensemble.
it's the Phoenix Festival. Yeah,
And it's up in Nyack, New York now through October 16th. We're
that
going to
is
end on a
correct.
Thursday, but you're artists. You do creative things like that. It's very close to the Tarrytown. Do you have to walk the bridge or is there like a pontoon?
There's a bus, or you can catch an Uber across if if you have a car, you can drive, but it's about 45 minutes from Grand Central Station.
Now
And
let me
those
ask,
people,
oh sorry, please, Craig.
those people
Yeah.
who have not been to Nyack, Nyack is just an incredibly beautiful, walkable, beautiful little village. Right? It's only 7,000 people, right on the Hudson. It's gorgeous.
Now, we have just a minute or two left with Craig and Elise before they have to go off and load a show in, because that's what they do. But I've got to ask, I ask this of all comedians, and I ask this of all actors and performers, like hilarious or scary horror stories involving productions or audiences when you've been performing or producing, going back 40, 40, 50, however long, what are the memorable ones?
Okay, well, I will tell you one. We were doing Enrico IV by Pirandello, and I was playing like the chief of staff to the king. And standing beside me was Angela Vitale, who was like the Secretary of State. And I'm in the middle of a very strong argument with the king. And my line is, well, I can't speak for her. She seems mesmerized by all your talk. So this one night I had, well, I can't speak for her. She seems mesmerized by all your cock. And, and Harris's eyes got Harris Berlinski played Enrico, and he's a moment-to-moment actor. I'm not a moment-to-moment. I'm not used to making mistakes. And his eyes got large like this, and he held it together. And I say, it's like the penultimate scene in Russell Crowe of the Gladiator when he's mortally wounded, and his life passes before his eyes. And everybody starts walking in slow motion. That is exactly what happened to me because I don't make mistakes like that. So that happened to me. But then I made the ultimate mistake of going back and correcting it. I said, so the audience maybe thought, oh, did he just say cock? No, Pirandello didn't say that kind of word. So, but then I said, she seems mesmerized by all your cock. Cock. Cock.
Oh
So
boy.
then we.
Yeah, you won't hear that in Arturo Uri either. Now, at least you have a story, whether from the audience perspective or you know.
Um, sure. A lot of them, we actually just did a bloopers and flubs evening. So, um, as part of the festival, which was kind of fun. Yeah. So I have a problem. My eyes, I have a narrow angle glaucoma with my pupils. So my eyes don't adjust to light and dark, which is a real problem for an actor because we go from a very bright stage to a blackout. And I had one performance where I was at the end of the scene, I was actually sitting on the stage, but there was a large light that was right aimed at my face. And so normally I would remember to angle my face away from that light because it would come up at the end of the scene before the blackout. And this one particular time, I guess I was too in the moment and I forgot to turn my head the other way. It came up into my eyes and there was a blackout. And then I was completely blinded and I couldn't get off the stage. So I'm sure the stage manager found it hysterical because I didn't know where the end of the stage was. My eyes my pupils don't adjust. I had to crawl and feel my way to the end of the stage. I'm sure in the booth it was hysterical. There's crawling and feeling for the stage. And meanwhile, there were live musicians and there was a drummer who played who played to get me off the stage, which took about 5 times longer than it normally did. The drum kept going. The house stayed dark, completely dark. And if anybody had brought the lights up on me early, it would have been really embarrassing. On all fours, crawling.
Vamping was only done for musicals. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
I never looked at that light again, I can promise you.
Well, it has been delightful to be talking with Elise Stone and her husband, Craig Smith. We wish you much, much mazel with the Phoenix Theater Ensemble, certainly with the current Phoenix Festival, which you can get. Just go to go right now. Go to Grand Central Station, wait for the next train. Get on there, see some shows. You can what the website? The website is Phoenix Theatre, like the French way, theatreensemble.org. For all the
and for the festival, it's liveartsinnyack.com.
Or you can just Google Phoenix and Nyack, and it'll come up.
Phoenix, I know I have Phoenix envy all the time. So, ladies and gentlemen, wishing much love, much success, and creativity to Elise and Craig. Thank you so much for being in the neighborhood.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.